welcome you to another episode in this series called Podcast Notes. I listen to at least 5 to 6 podcasts every week, each an hour long. And I learn a lot of new things from each podcast. And the reason I created this series is I just wanted to share that passion with the people that have subscribed to this channel. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch these videos. So, here are some of the podcasts I listened to this week. I listened to a podcast in the Humans of Bombay show, which I really enjoy. I think the host is amazing, Karishma Mehta, and she does a great job interviewing the guests over there. She was speaking to Arman Malik, who's a Bollywood singer, and he said that he had over 300 songs in his career, and I was amazed that he had so many songs at such a young age, and um, it just shows that it takes a lot of work to be recognized in your field. Another episode I saw was this actress, like a television actress. Her name was Rupali Ganguly, and she spoke about how even though she didn't get a lot of big projects, she created a career out of a lot of small TV projects that became iconic in the long run. And she kept herself busy as an actor, even though you didn't get a lot of regular work, you constantly try to keep yourself busy. She did theater, she used to do um, commercials. So she also said that family support was really important in making that career successful. Um, Another episode I saw was this really amazing podcast that was by Ronnie Screwwala, who's the founder of this edtech company called Upgrad. He's also a media entrepreneur. And he spoke about how in entrepreneurship he tries 10 ideas, 8 ideas fail, but 2 work. And the success of those 2 ideas cover the losses of the 8 ideas. So I also really liked his idea of creating an edtech company in India that was really successful. He spoke about how in India the diversity of markets is great. You have so many people and so many different kinds of consumers, and it's hard to find the same market in other contexts. So he also said it's important to develop super skills, which is another word for soft skills that I thought was interesting. Um, Another episode I saw, and I've just been listening to a lot of episodes on startups and business because it's something I'm quite passionate about. So Deep Kalra, who is the founder of Make My Trip, I think this was on the Raj Shamani podcast, which is again another podcast I really like. He spoke about this concept of making a country a brand and how citizens have a role in doing that. Um, I think because he founded like a tourism company, like a tourism startup, he spoke about how, so a lot of people book tickets to go to places on Make My Trip. It's an India based website, but I think it's also available in other places as well. Um, he said that it's important to be responsible as travelers as well. There are lots of exotic locations that have a lot of tourists coming in during peak season, and you really lose the charm of these places when there are too many people there. So we need to respect the environment and try to make sure, even though we're traveling, we understand the demands of the place that we're trying to go into and be respectful of local norms and practices. He also said that, after he got really successful in his career, he decided to move out of an executive position to focus on other interests in his life. And, your work doesn't have to be the center of your life, it can be just one part of a larger sort of uh, objective for your life. I saw an episode, I really liked this movie, this Bollywood director made called Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani, and it was directed by Karan Johar, who's a Bollywood director. And I was curious about how this director created a film that represented so many different shades of society. So he spoke about how the film was inspired by his own experience. This was on the Film Companion podcast series. In the film, it's about two individuals from different parts of India that connect and decide to start a relationship. I have another review about that film, but he spoke about how in India, because there are so many different societies, some societies are patriarchal, some societies are matriarchal. And when these societies come together, you have an interesting clash of cultures. So there's a lot of diversity in India in terms of values and views. And I think that sort of culture was represented quite well here. And he's also been a very popular director for the last 20 to 25 years. And I really like watching movies of directors chronologically to see how their thinking, evolves over time. So I think this movie is a good encapsulation of the vision and view of this particular director. I heard another episode by this actress. Um, Her name is Alia Bhatt, and even though I knew a lot about her work as an actor or an actress, I didn't know so much about her passion for entrepreneurship. And she created a sustainable clothing brand for children. And her thinking behind the brand just showed me how amazing it is to have your feet in different industries, and if you have that same first principle thinking guiding you, you can actually use your skills to create value in another sector. So even though she was an actress, she had a really smart business mind, and I liked observing that. And the last podcast I want to talk about is by the founder of InfoEdge. His name was Sanjeev Bikhchandani. He's one of the early, internet entrepreneurs in the country. And I think the main idea I got from that is that he founded 3 or 5 companies that were successful, and then he used the money from these companies to invest in other companies. And I think I liked his concept of financial freedom. Not just working on a day-to-day basis, but trying to get to a point where you don't have to work for money. You have money working for you. Um, but he creates companies that solve problems, and that is the power of entrepreneurship. It's not to just be financially successful, it's about solving problems for your community. So that was a great podcast. I'll link some of these episodes in the show notes. And thank you again for listening to this. This is about 2 to 3 weeks of episodes that I summarize here, but I appreciate your time.